Hey friends, thank you so much for joining me in another drawing lesson. This time I want to do something a little special. What I've got here is a sketch I've made a while back, and I wanted to work on it together with you and do most of it in real time. What I'm going to do is add the watercolors, and we'll do this together, real time, all the process, and we'll see how it goes. So the first thing I want to do here is apply a basic layer of red, very bright, keep it very light red tone. What I drew here is a mailbox, as you can see. I was out doing some urban sketching and this caught my eye, and so I decided to sketch it. And what we're gonna do, it's funny because I went again the other day and I was trying to draw this old man sitting on a bench, and he kept looking at me, so I couldn't take it. I stopped. Anyway, what I'm doing here is applying the first layer of the red, and again, keeping it very, very light. And there's gonna be a lot of play with the shadows and the lights here in this drawing. And the light will generally come from the right, and so the left side is going to be more heavily shaded. So there I am adding the red color, and you'll notice how when I first apply it, sometimes it gets too dark and I kind of merge it with what I've previously painted. This works for me, and you can barely notice how it was very dark in the beginning. I don't have any formal education with watercolors. I just picked them up and started using them. What I learned from experience is that you want to start drawing in some place and then sort of drag the paint with you in order to spread it evenly. So what I'm doing now is adding more color to the brush and remixing it actually. So I'm sorry if there are a lot of parts here where I'm out of the frame. And so you see I start applying the paint, and then you have this dark spot here and here as well. So what I'm doing is I'm playing with it. You see here that big blot of water and the color. So I kind of move it around, play with it in order to make sure it's, it has the same tone all across the drawing. What I'm going to do now is close the window because our neighbors are making some noise. And yep. So this is mostly it for the first layer. I hope this doesn't bore you. I think what I'm going to do is probably, yes, I'll kick it into time-lapse and finish up that first layer. And the more interesting things are gonna come next. So I think that it's safe to time-lapse through the rest of what's left here. But I'm basically just applying an even layer of red tone. So I'll see you in a second. Okay, we're back. What I'm gonna do now is get the color on that small patch of grass here. You might have seen me do some interesting things back there with the red tone, so I'll briefly explain. What I've done is I saw that I got too dark of a tone here in this area and also around here. So what I've done is just dab it away with a tissue, I think it was toilet paper, and afterwards I used the side of the brush to sort of blend in the darkness that was left even after dabbing it away. So you might have seen that. It's a nice trick. If you get it too much of a dark tone, color on the side here, I have a paper that's just for testing. Just waste some color on that and then use the edge of the brush to sort of blend it in. It works nicely. There's one thing I forgot here is to add the frame around here where the name and the details of the box come. So I'm gonna get that in. Just very lightly. Great. And now all we have to do is kind of wait for a very short period of time just to make sure it dries. I believe it's quite dry now, except for the part that I just painted. And I think I'll dab it away because I don't want it to be too dark. Now, what I'm gonna do is mix a darker tone of red. To do that, I'll add, I think, a little bit of black and a touch of, and I think I'll do that in front of you so you can actually see here. I'll be very careful, so hopefully you can see this. So I'm mixing in the red tone, and also I'm gonna add a touch of that black here that I got here. This small touch, because if you do more than that, it sort of takes over the entire color and destroys everything. And then finally I'll add in some of that extra dark red here. I never know the names of colors, so I kind of have a note here. There we go. It's called Madder Lake Deep. I never know these things. So anyway, and then I test it here on the side to make sure it's the tone I like. I think I'll add quite a bit more of that tone. And then I'll mix in some more water. And we can safely begin with the second layer of this. So this is what goes on here on the side when I'm out of the frame. Sorry about that. So the light comes from the right. And so what we're gonna do is apply that second layer all the way, all over the left side here. And you know what? I think I'm gonna add a touch more of that darker red, because I don't think you can see enough of it, and even more of the black. Mix it in well, and there we go. We can begin applying. There we go. This is better. I don't know what just fell here. Maybe you got to see this. I'm not sure. And as you can see, this is not too dark of a tone as well, still keeping it fairly light here. And right now this is the part to watch out, because we have some very bright areas of red and we don't want to go over them. So for example, light comes from the right but also from above, and so these parts here that are sort of turning upwards are going to be brighter. So we want to get that in. And the way to do that is to avoid painting them. This is as dark as they'll go. So this is very important. So as you can see, I'm applying that second layer, and I'll finish it somewhere around here. Don't want to go any further than that. Now I really need to get a white sort of gouache thing so that I can add highlights, because I currently don't have one, and I will go and get one so that I can do just that. Also this part you want to get a bit darker, and as you can see there is too much color, so I'm just gonna play with it just like I showed you earlier. Now the thing here is that I'm painting on an urban sketching notebook that I have, and so I can't really tape it, and the paper gets all I forgot the word, wrinkled, and you see these shapes that are formed here, and I can't do nothing about it, so sorry for that. Now I'm gonna add a very light layer of red to this side as well, but I don't want to go overboard here because this one is still fairly light. So I'll just add it to the main dark areas. And I do that in order to have the brighter parts do pop, because this area here is also turned upward, and if I don't do that, it's just gonna blend in. So I'm darkening it ever so slightly. And this box shape here is also requires some very light shading around it, which is just what I'm gonna do now, because there's sort of a dent here all around it. Actually, this is the door that they open to get out the ladders. And also here I want to get very gently a very slightly darker red. I have some hairs from the brush here. And you'll notice I kind of stepped out of the lines here, which is fine, you know, you won't always be able to get everything perfect. That's fine. Don't worry about it too much. The next darker part is here around the lock, and I'm gonna darken it like that. And also I think around here will be proper to add a darker tone. I actually took a picture of that box, and I'm looking at it just in order to, because I knew I wouldn't remember how the lights were when I drew this. It was a while ago, I think. And so I believe this is mostly it. We can go ahead and sort of add a second layer to the patch of grass here, and just to make it look a little nicer. But we are basically done with this drawing. Hopefully you got something out of it. This is quite different from what I usually do, because I usually go and draw an entire thing, and this time I kind of decided I want to show you the technique. You see, it's not dry yet, so whenever I paint, it sort of spreads all over. Probably should wait a bit more. Hey, so I was just about to wrap the video up, and then I understood that another layer was in due, and so I added it, filmed everything, and somehow the video was just gone. I don't know what happened, so I'll briefly explain. I've colored a third layer of even darker red on the left side here, and a bit around these darker areas. I also finished this layer a bit lower than the previous one, so that I have a nice gradual effect here. And also what I've noticed in my reference is that there was a darker spot here on the right, so I added that in. And I also, what really made this pop is actually this part, the black. I added a jet black to the opening of the mailbox, and because it was fairly dark. And so that's it. I'm sorry that this wasn't cut on tape. But anyway, what can you do? So thank you very much. I'll ask you, as always, that if my videos help you, please subscribe to my channel, and also check out my website. I have something really awesome there, and I'll add a link in the description below and in the end of this video. So I'll talk to you soon on the next video.